jQuery is a library for JavaScript. It's basically it contains a lot of sort of shortcuts and extra features that are not found in base JavaScript. One thing about jQuery though is it's kind of old now. In some ways that's really good because if a technology lasts for a while, it tends to keep lasting, just like Fortran and COBOL, if you know what those are. So also it has it's pretty reliable. It's very reliable at this point, let's say, because of that. So there are some people who suggest like jQuery is on the way out, but it's always hard to tell. 1 year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what technologies are actually going to still be around. That being said, jQuery is pretty nice. I prefer it over using just vanilla JavaScript. Though vanilla JavaScript is kind of taking a bunch of features, including that ES5, which is one of the more recent iterations or developments of JavaScript. Anyways, I'm just going to show you a basic example here of, well, I want to write something in this comment box over here, click a button or press a key and have it appear over in this nice kind of blue-gray area. So first things first, if I come over here to my window editor here, my text editor, I'm including jQuery with this line. So this is me downloading it from CDN, Content Delivery Network. There's a few different ways of doing this. For convenience, I'm just doing it this way. But yeah, you have to include a line like this if you want to use the jQuery library. Now I'm going to put all my jQuery code in this following script tag. Best practice is to have an external jQuery or a JavaScript file and load that in to your page to have a nice separation between the content of your page, which is expressed in HTML, and sort of the client-side logic, which would be in jQuery JavaScript. For this example, I'm just going to leave it here, just so you can see how it interacts perhaps with the content of the page, which is all of this. I also, if you know up there, I'm using a CSS file to make this page look okay. But here's the key bits. I have this comment section paragraph. That's where I'm going to end up putting the comments in that I enter from the text area or input area. So I have an input tag over here, which is actually the box we're going to write into, and then the line below is the button that will have an event. When we click it, it'll just take whatever's in the input text box and just drop it in that area. I'm going to use this example to also show Ajax later in a follow-up video, and I'll do another version of this video with just vanilla JavaScript without jQuery as well. But yeah, let's continue. So first things first, jQuery has some interesting syntax to it. Everything's done through this sort of magical $ object. So if I pass it a reference to document, now I'm getting at the document itself, so the whole HTML document. Now I can, in this case, I'm going to add an event listener for clicks on the, let's say, comment button, and so what I'm going to do here is, well, I'm going to set up two events. One of them is going to be when you click with the mouse on this button. The other one's if you're just going to press enter, as you can hear via my nice clackety-clack keyboard that people like to comment on. It's wonderful and brings me joy, so don't judge me. Anyways, one thing to do is, well, there's this event ready. So that this is sort of a common mistake when you're working with jQuery or with vanilla JavaScript, is to start manipulating the DOM, the page. before it's finished loading. So ready says, okay, once the whole page is up and loaded, now run this function, which is what I'm going to do here. So first things first, I think it's best to throw in some console.logs to verify that, hey, things are working. So I'll save the file, refresh the page. I can even inspect the page. It's a little squish. I can see console, but hey, ready has appeared. Great. That means it's actually working. I'll kind of shrink this a little bit. Both jQuery and JavaScript are very brittle. If you make small errors, things just stop working. So I suggest doing a lot of console.logs just to verify, oh, is this section of code actually being run? More often than not, when you have a problem, no, it's not being run. So that's the number one thing for debugging JavaScript, is just put a bunch of console.logs in there. Now I'm going to add the button handler. Click on button. So this leads us to another usage of the magic jQuery $ object. I can simply put in, well, if you see down here on line 37, oops, here we go. Line 37, I have a button tag as ID, comment button. Okay, great. I want to attach an event handler to this. I can reference the ID of the button here. Noticeably that $, that make sure to select, just like in CSS, okay, I'm looking for an ID called comment button. Note, I could also just do this, just referring to button itself. That'll actually give me all the button tags. I'm going to grab things by ID. I think that's kind of a best practice. Unless you, yeah, I think that's usually the preferred way to do it. Now, the nice thing about jQuery is to add a click event, you simply just call this function clicked. So what this is doing is it's going to go retrieve the element that is a button. So it's defined by that button tag. Click says, okay, we're going to set a handler on it. For click event, what I'm going to do is create a function up here that'll fill in function. Let's call add comment. Yeah. So yep. So I'll write again. This is sort of pro tip. I'm just going to throw console.log in as like the very first thing I do, and then I need to reference it here. So click takes a function, and it's effectively going to say, okay, run whatever function I'm given when someone clicks on the button. So I'm creating a separate function just to handle that scenario of, hey, someone clicked this button, let's go run it. So I'm going to save it here. Again, sort of iterative development style. I like to just try things out a lot as I go. I can type something in here, hit the comment button. Oh, look, add comment appeared. Great. It's just a sanity check to make sure that everything's working. Okay, there's a few things I'm going to want to do in here to make it actually work. I'm first going to get the text from the input. I'll just call it the input. I then want to, well, once I've gotten it, I want to check if they actually entered anything versus it's just being an empty string. So if a element was given, was. So basically, if they actually entered something rather than just click the button with an empty box, display the text so we don't just keep adding empty lines. Then all we're going to need to do is just we're going to just append the comment to the comment area. Okay, so let's get the text. So I'm just going to declare a variable. Again, we can now let's go down here and take a look. So if you notice my input area, I have an ID called comment. So useful. Yeah. So again, I can get to it via that ID. A nice thing about JQuery is, well, to get the value out of the box, just .val. Great, now I have the comment. Again, me being paranoid about JavaScript actually working because it's poorly engineered black magic as well, I'm going to add a message here. Got this comment. Wonderful. So now, as I move through my example, hopefully this will appear. Hello world. Yeah, so there's this message. I got into the function and it says I got this. Great. So then also just notice you have to deal with the case of, well, that's what I'm going to make the if statement for, is if they didn't enter anything, notice I didn't get a comment here. Fantastic. So now I'm just going to check if comment text.length, that's how we check a string length in JavaScript. It's the same. There's nothing special about this due to jQuery or anything. Now to append it, what I'm going to do is again use my magic $ thing. I have comment section as a separate ID. You see that down here, line 44. That's where I ultimately want it to leave each comment. So, and again, it's really nice in jQuery. I can just append, and I can do this plus a little bit of extra magic in the form of, well, if I just tack on some HTML, it'll render it as HTML. And, okay, so let's go refresh this. Let's give it a test. Oh. Hey, it works. It appeared here. Yay. The basics. Okay. Now, the only other thing is maybe I want to clear out this box. Okay, to do that, I'm going to do, I'm just going to get the same area again. Magic $. I'll just do a message here. Okay, so now I'll get the same thing. So I'll get the comment input area, deval, and the nice thing about jQuery is just kind of streamlines everything to set the value. You give it whatever string you want. In this case, I just want to do an empty string. So now if I refresh, I can say hello, comment, oh, and it disappeared from there, and it appears over here. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Now the only other thing I'd like to do, so I've completed the adding a comment when I click that button. It would be nice to be able to do that if I hit return as well. And this is also motivates, well, why did I could have just defined the whole add comment function in right here. It's better for sake of modularity to split it out. Also, that means it'll be easier for me to call it via a different event. So I'm going to add enter. So for Keypress Event, we're going to grab the document. Again, jQuery just sort of streamline some things here. I just say, well, key press. This is an example of me just defining the function I want to run when a key is pressed. I'm going to use a little bit of, so this event is going to carry possibly something called a key code. Each key type has a different number associated with it. I'm going to look it up here. I'm going to use a ternary operator. I was saying if that's defined, then I'm going to do this. So what this is going to do is it sort of streamlines. Well, I just want to make sure I'm for sure getting the key code out, which is another way of with JQuery of getting that value. Anyways, this sort of simplifies that. So if I check if the key value is 13, which happens to be the enter key, then all I'm going to do is do my add comment. Alright, so now let's see here. I'll refresh the page. I type hello. I hit enter. Hey, it worked. Fantastic. So that's basics of jQuery, interacting with the DOM, manipulating the page. I hope you enjoy it.